Okay, let's take a look at the markets since FOMC on Wednesday and Powell's comments as some changes have come into play. Let's start with the dollar index on the weekly time frame. There have been a couple ideas with this, but I've been running so far the traditional idea of a bullish triangle across here because we've had effectively a year, almost a year of sideways movement like this. And with this week's retest and the strong move back up from Wednesday, so far it looks good for the move to continue, but I want to wait to see how the weekly candle closes because at present now on Friday morning, it's hanging there as a hanging man, and in that position it would be a very weak candle, which would suggest a selling opportunity. So if we can see a bit more strength today and to push it up to kind of negate that image, that would probably work best for the bulls. Euro US dollar looks a little bit different from that. This is a very awkward pattern to work with, I'm finding, because you can see constructively, or in, let's say in terms of manner, it's very choppy. This is not what you call impulsive price action. So it's understandable that many traders are looking at this and thinking, well, there's some kind of ending pattern or correction in play, and we may see a reversal. That's not really supported yet on the monthly time frame, which keeps drooping down like this. And the weekly too, there isn't really that type of the price action suggests it might come into play, but so far every up move has been rejected and sold, as you can see across here. Now, one key thing that I've been pointing out for ages is that over here on the left, we have a gap around 107.80 or so, which will probably be filled. And then we can probably look for this to be bullish. So at the time, I'm staying with the bears on Euro US dollar, and staying with the bulls in the dollar index. So that hasn't changed. I'll go over this again on the weekend once I see how the dollar index candle closes. US Canadian has, however, made what looks like a good reversal because, as I mentioned in last week's video, we have this possible sell opportunity here. However, the reversal on Wednesday was positive for the bulls, and so far right now it's still looking like it's going to move higher. There's this chance I labeled this, I don't remember, last week or the week before, and I'm still favoring at the moment a new high. It's not decisive yet that we're going to break last week's high, but at the moment it does not look like the bears are going to take control of this market. It looks like there's a good chance for this to grind higher within this choppy move up, and perhaps we can, if that does occur, then we'll have a sell opportunity on a new high. So this needs time. Personally, I am not interested in the buy side on this. My target for this would be up around 137, 138. There may be a buy setup coming in today, possibly, if we can see a little sideways movement here. Hold on, let me check that. Yeah, I would watch this. If you're interested in being on the buy side in this, I would watch for a small corrective pattern here as a buy opportunity. Some type of flag emerging there. Okay, and the pound New Zealand, which is the other one I've been following. Sorry. This, I wrote on Twitter when this was happening that there is no sell setup at the moment. When it was coming up very quickly here, I made a note that there's no sell setup because sometimes reversals do happen very quickly like this in 3 waves, but up at this point you would get a type of sell candle. For example, a shooting star or a hanging man or some type of weakness or an ending diagonal in price, for example. So on a lower time frame, it would be contracting like this. That didn't emerge. and the speed of the move and the failure to print a bearish candle suggested that there was not going to be a sell opportunity. So I didn't enter the market. And someone asked me, where would you put your stop? Well, I suggested earlier, first of all, I'm not offering any advice, because finding stop levels are important, but you have to also take into account where you enter the trade and your own risk tolerance. And here, there is a level across here, as I mentioned previously, that I mentioned before, that this is probably a spot that the market can stall out in. We don't have that yet, but this is the type of area where if it's going to happen, it probably will happen in around the 197, 198 area. The weekly at the moment still suggests some support, as you can see with the moving average, but on lower time frames, the idea is that so far, despite the strength of the past 2 days, this wedge is still in play as a bearish setup. So if you are interested in this trade still, I would watch the lower time frames from here, lower time frames such as 4 hour, and see if something can emerge. Now the issue on the 4 hour at the moment is that the stocks are holding above the 80, and for now that's bullish. And yesterday's candle was a real tiny little thing, which is not powerful as yet, but as I've said before, there are chances here. I would still look to the downside so long as this current pattern holds with the resistance which price is now entering into. So this favors a sell setup here. Now I just want to zoom out to the monthly. As you can see, let me go over to pound Australian, because I posted this on Twitter not long ago. Pound Australian is also offering a bearish, it has a bearish look all the way back to 2016. But I wrote on Twitter that there is likely that this pair, going down to the weekly, sees a new high. So if it comes up here and we do see a new high, because unlike Pound New Zealand, we don't have a bearish impulsive wave. Let me show you what I mean. If you look at Pound New Zealand, you have this, which is a bearish impulsive wave, a power move to the downside. Pound Australian does not have that in play. It already made a new high back in March, and probably we're going to see another new high, and that overall can create a kind of big move like this, and then downside can emerge in the pound. So I think this is likely, Pound Australian is likely to see a new high. Pound New Zealand, I don't think we'll see a new high. That's my view. Slightly separate views there, but overall they both, based on monthly price action, appear to be bearish. I was also thinking about checking the overall pound index, a kind of composite. Okay, so this is the pound index, the my so-called pound index, which is a compilation, a kind of composite of 7 pound-related currencies, pound pairs, let's say. So you get a kind of balanced view somewhat out of this. And I've been running this idea that, okay, we had a bullish flag here in a simple 3-wave corrective pattern. And what happened overall was that it broke out and it's been resting on the upper trend line, which it retested and is trying to emerge out of bullishly like this. You can see this week's candle is positive and constructive for the bulls. And overall, the idea would be to see above the April 18 high, so into 1.6 on this chart. And then it's likely to continue to the downside. What would emerge here probably is some type of bearish divergence. One more time. Like that. And then a sell opportunity as well. That's the pound index. So I use that as something just to look at for a general guide of where the pound's sitting based on a kind of average. Okay, so I will go over this on the weekend again, and I'll probably look at a few more dollar indexes and go over Bitcoin again, which has been taking off, which is good. There's still that resistance band in Bitcoin up to 6,000 or so that hasn't changed. but we'll see what emerges there. On the weekend, I'll cover that, and Aussie New Zealand. Okay, so that's it for now. Have a good night. Bye.